For the fourth consecutive day, Israel and Iran have been locked in a fierce missile exchange. Despite growing calls for restraint, the war escalates. Let's now take a look at the top developments at this hour. Iran has launched a new wave of missile strikes on Israel, triggering air raid sirens across the country. Emergency services reported at least 5 killed and dozens more wounded. On the other hand, IDF has released video showing surface-to-air missile launch troops and the dismantling of the launcher in Iran. Israel claims it has achieved aerial superiority over Tehran after large-scale strikes on Sunday night. Israeli military spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin said that the IDF hit several key sites in Iran's capital, destroying a third of the country's surface-to-surface missiles. The military says it now controls the skies from western Iran to Tehran. The IDF says it struck around 100 military targets in Iran. Military says it killed the head of the Revolutionary Guard's intelligence branch and his deputy. Meanwhile, Iranian state media report that an Israeli strike in Kermanshah seriously damaged Farabi Hospital. Well, some time back, Israel's military claimed it has struck command centers in Tehran belonging to Iran's Quds Force. With precise direction from the Intelligence Directorate, it says the targets were located in the Iranian capital. And latest satellite images show extensive damage to key Iranian nuclear and missile facilities following a series of Israeli airstrikes. The images show destruction at the Natanz and Isfahan nuclear sites, with several above-ground buildings and missile bases. Iran vows to carry out more devastating operations against Israeli targets. Iran's Revolutionary Guards, in a statement, said operations against the important targets in Israel will continue until its complete destruction. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has warned that residents of Tehran will pay the price for attack on civilians in Israel. In a post on X, Katz accused Iran of deliberately targeting civilians in Israel and added that residents in Tehran will pay the price soon. The emergency meeting of the IAEA Board of Governors begins. IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi arrives in Vienna alongside several international delegations. Rafael Grossi says there has been no indication of a physical attack on the underground section of Iran's Natanz uranium enrichment site following Israeli strikes, which only destroyed the plant's above-ground section. And well, to talk more on what's happening between Iran and Israel as the conflict enters day 4, we're now being joined by Professor David Dunn, a professor of international politics in the Department of Political Science and International Studies at the University of Birmingham. Welcome to WION, Professor Dunn. First up,
good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Your assessment of the situation with both the sides continuing to attack each other, and where do you think this war is headed to?
Well, I think there's no immediate prospect of the hostilities ending. Both sides have an incentive to carry on the use of military force, particularly on the part of Israel. What they want to do is to inflict as much damage on the nuclear facilities of Iran as possible, to destroy or degrade as much of their ballistic missile force as possible, and indeed to destroy their economic capabilities to actually regenerate the resources that would be necessary for them to continue this program if they wanted to do so. Israel also has a desire to actually keep bombing in the hope that the Iranian people rise up against the regime. So regime change is part of the agenda of their continuing action. A third objective would be the possibility of drawing the United States into the war, because only the United States has the military capability to destroy the deep underground nuclear facilities that the Israelis are deeply concerned about. So they would like to widen the war in that regard. So for them, there's no prospect of them stopping the war. As far as Iran's concerned, what they're doing is trying to inflict damage on the capacity of Israel to keep going, and to actually inflict civilian casualties on Israel in order to try and deter them for carrying on their action, but also to put up a performance to show that they actually are hitting back in response to the attacks on their country, because their population are very cross that they have been so vulnerable and have been so easily penetrated, and in fact that the Israeli Air Force has the ability to actually fly over their skies and bomb them with apparent impunity. So there's no prospect of this thing ending anytime soon, despite the calls internationally for there to be an end to the war.
Right, Professor Dan, you've clearly negated any scope of negotiations or talks between Iran and Israel. Now, just a short while back, earlier today, Trump said that sometimes they have to fight it out, but to have respect for each other. How do you read that statement? The question, of course, being not if Trump can stop the war, but rather if Trump wants to stop the war at this point of time.
So you're right. The main actor potentially here is Donald Trump. He could tell Israel to stop. He could threaten to withdraw the resupply of air defense missiles and offensive missiles that Israel relies on. Israel is using American equipment and possibly even American intelligence to actually target the attacks in Iran. The Trump administration, however, has shown no indication of that, in the same way that the Trump administration has shown no indication in stopping Israel pursuing its relentless bombardment of Gaza. So Trump seems to be willing to both stand back and not offer to be involved directly, but nor does he want to, it seems, pressure Israel to actually end the war quickly. What he has offered is to be involved in negotiations, but we've seen him be overconfident in his ability to end the war in Gaza, to end the war in Ukraine, and to actually get a deal with Iran before this on ending Iran's nuclear program. So the Trump administration talks a big deal, but actually their ability to effect a negotiated resolution to this is actually proven to be limited by the experience of the Trump administration so far, despite the claims to the contrary.
Right, Professor Dan, you speak of how Trump is perhaps willing to bring both the sides on the negotiation table. And earlier today, Iran clearly said that it's ready for talks only if Israel stops attacking them. Do you think that Trump will perhaps convince Israel to get both the sides on the negotiating table?
I think it's very unlikely that Israel, having commenced this war that is planned for 20 years, will stop anytime soon. Certainly not on the basis of vague promises from Iran. Iran would have to offer much more on the table to get Israel to stop its bombardment. And as I say, it's unlikely that Trump will pressure Israel to stop bombing Iran, because it also realizes that the more Israel bombs Iran, the more likely it is that Trump can get the Iranians to make major concessions on its nuclear weapons facilities.
Right, Professor Dan, thank you so much for joining us here on WION with your insights.
Always a pleasure.